Hello viewers, as you already know, we do in-depth research on important issues happening around the world. Continuing this commitment to factual, bold reporting and expanding your knowledge. Today our research team is presenting a critical and urgent investigation, with the subject that says, Kashmir isn't just bleeding, it's screaming. And the Indian state refuses to listen. Yes friends, you heard it right, that Modi government has put India on a shameful situation. When 26 of its innocent citizens were killed by Pakistani state-sponsored terrorists due to incompetent Modi government, and not only this, but terrorists are out of the hands of government's security agencies till date, and more shameful act is acceptance of Modi government's mediation of United States the third party. And finally to move back when Indian forces were perfectly moving ahead to sanitize the entire terrorism setup under Pakistani-occupied Kashmir. Friends, most biggest shortcoming of the Modi government's diplomacy today is sending its diplomats and ministers to different countries of the world for getting international sympathy. This shows childish attitude of Modi Gov. Diplomacy of misusing millions of dollars of taxpayers' money, as it's a well-known fact that till date, world has always stood neutral come what may, and it becomes the duty of the state to fight for its cause. We blatantly ask this question to Modi government. Haven't they realized this from Russia-Ukraine war, Israel-Palestine conflict? And friends, if Modi government policymakers knows all this and still they are organizing Indian representatives' diplomacy tours, then it clearly means that Modi government is playing its same old political propaganda tactics to impress global world that how much they care for their country. As they do the same old thing last 11 years in India to play falsifying politics propaganda to attract right-wing voters. But friends, this tactics of Modi government is very dangerous for the sovereignty of India, as because if enemies of India realizes this fact, then believe us, they will capture the geographical holdings of India, which China already did near Arunachal Pradesh and Leh. So it's very dangerous for India and for its security. Anyways, now further going ahead friends, and before we go deep in the article, we request you to subscribe to our channel for continuously getting in-depth research updates on more such issues happening around the world. Friends, let's straightforward come to our important topic on Kashmir. See friends, we are here not only to give our clear-cut observations on Kashmir issue, but we are also here to provide a solution to the Kashmir problem, which is witnessing thousands of deaths, and we do not hesitate to say that it's the longest ongoing proxy war at par with Israel-Palestine conflict. Therefore we request you to stay till the end of this important in-depth report to arrive at the solution of Kashmir issue. See friends, Kashmir isn't just a piece of land under contest. It has become the most visible symbol of India's internal contradictions and its increasingly brittle national security posture. The recent Pahalgam terror attack is not just another blip in the long history of bloodshed in the valley, it is a watershed moment. A turning point that should have awakened the Indian state from its dangerous delusions. And yet, as has become far too common in New Delhi's power corridors, there is silence, complacency, spin, and the price? Paid in blood, by soldiers, civilians, and the soul of a nation. See friends, as you already know, on that tragic day, when tourists were comfortably enjoying in Pahalgam with family and children, the team of hardcore terrorists killed 26 innocent civilians and ambushed with chilling precision. This wasn't a random act. It was a well-coordinated, premeditated strike designed to embarrass the Indian military establishment and shatter the carefully cultivated illusion of normalcy in Kashmir. Yet, within hours, official statements began referring to the incident as part of an ongoing operation. Euphemisms were deployed like shields. The truth buried beneath bureaucratic jargon. Why? Because admitting the truth would mean accepting that the Indian security grid in the region had been compromised. That after years of claimed progress, abrogation of Article 370, redrawing of constituencies, demographic engineering, and investment summits, the enemy still holds the initiative. This is no longer about a few radicalized youth. This is hybrid warfare, executed with technological sophistication and backed by two hostile nuclear powers, Pakistan and China. See Friends, post-Galwan. India shifted significant military resources to eastern Ladakh. A strategic move, but one that left other regions like Jammu and southern Kashmir exposed. Into that vacuum stepped Pakistan's proxies, this time armed not just with AK-47s, but with encrypted Chinese communication devices, night vision goggles, and tactical training from elite Pakistani SSG commandos. According to intelligence inputs, these terrorists are now communicating via Chinese military satellites. Let that sink in. An enemy's satellite infrastructure is now being used inside Indian territory to coordinate attacks on Indian citizens. And yet, where is the outrage? Where is the diplomatic offensive? Where is the deterrence? Instead, we hear platitudes, hollow promises of strong action that never comes. Meanwhile, over 60 Indian soldiers have been killed in the past 3 years. Quietly, invisibly, their sacrifice absorbed into a narrative of calm that serves political optics, not national security. Friends, the international fallout after Pahalgam was even more damning. The United Nations Security Council, under pressure from Pakistan and China, refused to name the terror outfit behind the massacre. Russia, once a reliable ally, advised India to talk to Pakistan. The Gulf nations, despite India's recent strategic overtures, responded with cold indifference. So much for the so-called Global South alliance. So much for India's much-touted rise as a diplomatic powerhouse. The reality is brutal. The world respects deterrence, not diplomacy built on wishful thinking. When Israel faces attacks, it responds with overwhelming force and garners global acknowledgement of its right to self-defense. India, in contrast, absorbs blow after blow while pleading for global sympathy. That is not strategic restraint, it is strategic self-harm. Friends, what made the Pahalgam attack particularly sinister was its communal targeting. Eyewitness reports suggest terrorists asked for names, demanded Muslims recite the Kalma, and selectively executed Hindus. This wasn't just terrorism, it was psychological warfare aimed at sparking a communal wildfire. And India, in its predictable fashion, walked straight into the trap. Communal tensions flared across social media. Misinformation ran wild. Innocent Kashmiris, already trapped between militants and the military, faced backlash, hate, and suspicion. This is exactly what the enemy wants: to push moderate Kashmiris toward radicalism, to convert public mistrust into militancy, and to fracture Indian society from within. Friends, it's time we accept that the threat is not just from across the border. The rot is within. In the absence of strategic clarity, India's internal divisions are now its biggest vulnerability. Now friends, let's call this what it is: a failure of governance, not just intelligence. For years, experts have warned that troop redeployments after 2020 left regions like Kathua, Samba, and Poonch under-secured. Rashtriya rifles were pulled out. Local police and BSF, under-equipped and overburdened, were left to hold the line. What followed was predictable: a surge in terrorist infiltration, attacks on convoys, and the establishment of militant forest hideouts. Yet the government, obsessed with perception management, refused to reassess. Instead of reinforcing sensitive zones, they doubled down on PR campaigns. Investment summits were staged, films were made, celebrities were flown in, but none of it could replace ground intelligence, troop strength, or tactical deterrence. In essence, the government confused propaganda with policy, and the nation is now paying the price. Friends, the timing of the Pahalgam attack isn't coincidental. As India positions itself as an alternative to China for global investors, its enemies know that the best way to derail this ambition is to ignite unrest. A Kashmir in flames doesn't just embarrass New Delhi, it unnerves boardrooms in New York, Tokyo, and London. It tells the world, India is not yet stable enough to be a superpower. And so, every grenade hurled in the valley is also a dagger aimed at India's economic future. So, now friends, we ask, what should India do? So here's the answer. First, accept reality. Kashmir is not normal. It is not pacified. It is not a development story. It is a high-intensity conflict zone in a rapidly shifting geopolitical environment. Second, build deterrence. Not with one-time retaliatory strikes like Balakot, but with a sustained doctrine of escalation, one that signals to Pakistan and its handlers in Beijing that the costs of such attacks will be unbearable. Third, overhaul defense spending. India cannot defend its borders, protect its people, and counter hybrid threats with a 1.9% defense to GDP ratio. That number must be pushed to 3%, urgently. Fourth, deploy tech, indigenous satellites, AI-driven signal intelligence, drone surveillance, and cyber capabilities. This is a 21st century war. We cannot fight it with 20th century tools. Fifth, reform intelligence coordination. The siloed functioning of agencies like IB, RA, NTRO, and state police must end. A unified command structure with real-time information sharing is no longer optional, it is existential. And finally, show political will. Friends, it's India or any peacekeeping organization in the world, all knows that this is not a war that will be won through speeches, hashtags, or investment expos. It requires courage, clarity, and the readiness to bear the diplomatic and military costs of standing tall. Now friends, to arrive at the conclusion, we can say that Kashmir is the test and India is the question. But out of the steps we have provided to give solutions to the Kashmir issue, it's sad to state that not a single step Modi government is doing. It's our observation that Modi government is not only running away from the Kashmir issue but also seems hands-cuffing the might of world-renowned Indian armed forces, which already has strategic understandings, knowledge and strength to tactfully overcome Pakistani state-organized Kashmir terrorism by sanitizing Pakistani-occupied terror hotspots in 7 days. Friends, India today stands at a crossroads. One path leads to denial, decay, and continued humiliation at the hands of lesser powers. The other demands strength, not just military but moral. Not just political, but strategic. The Pahalgam attack was not just an act of terror, it was a mirror. And what we see in it is terrifying, a state too caught in its own echo chamber to hear the drumbeats of war. But it's not too late. Not yet. India must rise, or it must prepare to bleed, again and again and again. Because friends, Kashmir is not just a borderland. It is the front line of India's destiny. Finally, our thoughtful viewers, we work hard to bring important issues and topics in crisp and time-saving manner before you. So please like, share and subscribe and motivate our team, and also comment your views on this important topic. Please visit our website VOPGLOBAL.org and raise your voice. Also associate with us by downloading your volunteer press card available on our website and share your views and news. Team, Digital Media, Asia, Voice of the People International.